higher on Jeremy Lin than a lot of people are. I'm sort of pegged as a Lin defender or a Lin fan or whatever have you. Let me do the quick origin story. I was covering the Knicks very closely when Linsanity happened, and the night of Linsanity, the first game against the Nets, actually, I had just flown back from the Super Bowl. I was out in, I think it was in Indy that year, and flown back for the Super Bowl to do a Knicks pregame show. And I was standing next to Dan D'Antoni when he walked up to Jeremy Lin and he told him, be ready. You might get your shot tonight. So I have a little bit of a personal attachment there in that regard. But it's not really about that. I think Lin is better than people give him credit for. And I think the last couple of years he hasn't been able to play his game very much, which may, in the long run, have helped him in a sense because he had to wear different hats and learn different roles. So I actually think he became a better all-around player, which you saw in Charlotte last year doing a bit of a jack-of-all-trades role. But I've always wondered if someone put the ball in his hands and let him run the team and run a lot of high pick and rolls, if he could replicate, let me not say insanity, but put up numbers that'll make people be taken aback a little bit. And I think he's capable of doing that if the spacing on the floor is right. He can really attack the basket. He worked on his shot in the offseason. So I think you might see an all-star caliber season from Jeremy Lin this year.
Yeah, I was about to. He was exactly what was next for me on my list of questions for you because you've been fighting off Jeremy Lin detractors for a while now, and everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. And I had this same exact debate. I think my first ever episode on Locked On Nets, and it's a sort of little divide with Jeremy Lin coming into the season because you have this take that, and it's well reasoned. It's that the past few teams he's been on, he hasn't been in the right situation for him. This is much more suited to his game. He's a good point guard at the end of the day, so he should really succeed. I think I'm more in the middle. I don't think he's going to be a bust this season or be bad by any means. But I don't think we're going to see extraordinary play. Nothing too special. I don't think his efficiency is going to take a real big jump. And the reason is, for me, is first of all, he's going to have to do it on both ends, right? Defensively, there was nothing really good to say about Jeremy Lin until he was in Charlotte, where he improved a lot last year. But him playing out this whole season, he's going to have to do really well on both ends when you look at the guys around him, right? On offense, he's going to have to be the secondary scorer. On defense, defending point guards now in the league is such a tough job. I'm wondering if that'll tire him out come the second half of the season or anything like that. And defenses, I feel like, are going to have a pretty good time if they can just trap Jeremy Lin on those pick and rolls he likes and make the other Nets create. Because you look down the list of the roster and you think, well, is Randy Foye going to be able to make a play out of that? Is Trevor Booker? Is Sean Kilpatrick? Is Rondae Hollister? You get my point.
Sure. I think that's valid. I mean, that's the game plan. And I think opposing coaches have more respect for Jeremy Lin than maybe the fans of other teams do. And if you saw it in the playoffs, Miami went to a heavy trapping defense on him because he kept getting into the lane. The thing with him is there's always a lot of noise around him because he has, due to his background, a lot of fans who are very loyal. Sometimes some of them can be a little crazy. Some of them are just loyal fans. He also has scorned Knicks fans who want to blame him for leaving or whatever. And then you have people who have a backlash to the overexposure, and the people who aren't watching from afar, or aren't watching closely, and are watching from afar, don't realize when he went to Houston, he was supposed to have the ball there, and then Harden came over. And when he went to the Lakers, no one was going to mesh well with Kobe there. I think the most important thing for his game with the Nets in regards to what you were saying is just the jump shot and playing off the ball a little bit, because he can play two positions. He's bigger than people realize, and he can guard the one and he can guard the two, and he can play the one and play the two offensively. And I think the two things that people don't realize the most about him are that he's bigger and stronger, and that he's fast. And if he can get the ball and get out in transition, that's probably their best offense is for him to rebound and take it himself. That's how he could make a guy like Landry Fields and Steve Novak and those guys look good in New York, because end to end, he's as fast as anybody in the league. I mean, like John Wall type of speed.
Yeah, it's This Nets offense isn't going anywhere without him. I think that's fair to say. And one thing that's been brought up before that I think is maybe the key to his season is just that there aren't going to be really any expectations, right? You look at this Nets team; they're not gunning for the playoffs. Jeremy Lin's not the savior or anything like that. He's just a guy the Nets picked up, and I think that's going to be important to him. But let me ask you this question: if he peaks out and does something that, beyond what you even think he's going to do this season, like he has a legitimate all-star season, he's just fantastic out there, should the Nets look to trade him? Because by the end of this contract, I think he has a 3-year contract, he should be like right at 30, and we don't know where the Nets will be in that rebuilding process, and they are hunting down assets and first-round picks, things like that for the future. So would you consider trading him if he had such a great season like that?
I don't think so, because I think if he does, you're going to get a fan base excited that the Nets haven't really been able to do, because he offers a unique insight to a different market, right? So if people start getting excited about the Nets because of his play and attention gets drawn there, plus the casual New York fans who knew him before, I don't think you really want to do that to the fan base. The guy who I've been a proponent of trying to build up and trade for a while is Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
And that's something who... their fit together is interesting to me because it's not exactly perfect. Lin works well with rim divers, and Lopez isn't quick enough to, in the screen and roll game, finish on the lob. So I think what's going to be key is how well he finishes those little 8 to 10 foot floating shots he'll get out of the pick and roll, and how well he shoots the ball on the pick and pop. And I know Lopez has been around with the Nets for a while, but if I was looking to flip one of the players on the team, Brook Lopez would be the guy I'd try to build up value-wise and do that with.